Shiatiki chumon molokiwash. Shiatiki chumon molokiwash. Shiatiki chumon molokiwash. Shiatiki chumon molokiwash. Kepakaki ahashil kuku. Pakaki ahashil kuku.
Hello, and welcome to Reclaiming Our Stories, Voices of Indigenous Peoples of California. I'm your story weaver, Victorio L. Shaw, a citizen of the Hupa Valley Tribe and chief judge for the Shingle Springs Band of Miwok Indians and the Robinson Rancheria Tribal Courts. In this podcast, we sit down with Indigenous leaders, artists, historians, and community voices to share stories rooted in land, culture, and lived experience. These conversations invite us to listen more deeply to the histories, perspectives, and knowledge that continue to shape California today. Thank you for joining us.
Tonight, we are honored to be welcomed by Deborah Sanchez, Chumash, Autry, and Raramuri. Deborah is a former Los Angeles Superior Court judge, a linguist, a language teacher, and a culture bearer. For a period, she was the only sitting American Indian judge in the state of California. She has carried Chumash language and song back to her community for over 15 years, teaching, writing songs, revitalizing ceremony. She is the founder of the Chumash Cultural Collective, a traditional dancer, songkeeper, and regalia maker. Her work extends beyond California, to the United Nations, to Geneva, to every space where Indigenous sovereignty needs a voice. Please welcome Deborah Sanchez, Vice Chair of the Board of California Humanities.
Kautinaliu. Shakswala el kuku kaktismu escuela Sánchez kaktingles. Kapanes humolo ki swahili na kalamu hilimu. Ka kapanes hakimio ke etono otam ke Raramuri. I'm Deborah Sanchez Shumash. You know I'm Shumash. I'm Otam. I'm Raramuri. And I am just so grateful to be here and to welcome you into this space and to this evening. It's been magical from the moment I parked. We are here in Los Angeles County on the ancestral homelands of 4 different tribes, the Tangva, the Tataviam, the Hashiman, and the Chumash peoples. I'm honored to be welcoming you to this live podcast. It's episode 6 of Reclaiming Our Stories, The Futures of Sovereignty. This series exists because California Native communities chose to lead and the wisdom of California Humanities to follow. And I want to thank everyone at Cal Humanities and also Rick Noguchi for helping this to come true. We are open tonight on the land of the Tongva people and Tavangar. This is their home, and it is a gift to begin here with their song. I am honored to welcome Tovima Carmelo family.
Good evening, everyone. Our first song for the evening is a gathering song. It is a song that is in our language, is an ancestor-inspired song, and this song is an original song that was written by myself with the collaboration of the Che'iyam here on stage with me, very capable, beautiful women that I'm very fortunate to sing with. Through our gatherings as Tongva people, our interconnectedness was very important. This is how we maintained our thriving economic system. This is how we maintained our familial ties from village to village. And most importantly, this is how we maintained the relative peace in Tovangar for many, many years. So this song is to call again for our gatherings. And through our gatherings, we as a group set this intention for our culture and our traditions and our language to be with us, for those things to be strengthened, and also, most importantly, for our healing to come about. So we want to thank you all for being here and being part of the healing in this Kihai tonight.
This wonderful podcast series existed because many hands have been involved. I want to welcome the Dean of the College of Humanities, Arts, and Social Sciences at the University of California, Riverside. He's our board chair of the California Humanities, and this is Daryl Williams. Please come up to share a few words. Thank you.
California Humanities, as we all know, exists because we believe that the humanities are how we make meaning together. And I will say that both as an academic and also as a human and a resident of the state of California. They are how we remember, how we reckon, and how we imagine what might come next. Reclaiming Our Stories is exactly that kind of work. A California native-led podcast series that centers truth-telling, narrative sovereignty, and Indigenous futurity, reaching communities across this state and far beyond. Our board is proud to support this series, and I am personally moved to be here tonight in community with each and all of us. It's my honor to introduce the person who has held this work with care and commitment and patience and forbearance and ambition, our President and Chief Executive Officer of California Humanities, Rick Noguchi.
Hello and welcome. I want to begin by offering deep gratitude to the 4 tribal communities whose voices will ground this evening. That's the Gabrielino Tongva, Fernandino Tataviam Band of Mission Indians, the Juaneño Band of Mission Indians, Wukchumni Nation, and the Chumash Cultural Collective. Your presence here is a gift. I also want to acknowledge the elders, the panelists, and all the community members who traveled to be with us this evening. California Humanities has been privileged to support this project from the very beginning, and it has asked us to grow, to listen differently, and to trust that when California Native communities lead, we all move closer to truth. I want to honor our advisory committee, our staff team, our funders, the 11th Hour Project, By the People, and the Weingart Foundation, and everyone whose care made this series possible.
Our next song is dedicated to a very important earth entity in Tovangar. Our group is called Tovima in the spirit of Tovima, which is the entity. Tovima is a sea cliff rock formation right off the coast of current-day Palos Verdes. Tovima is our first singer and our first dancer. And Tovima is the guardian of all of Tovangar, the mainland and the islands. It is in the spirit of Tovima that we bring out these songs. We learn our ancestral songs and we bring out new songs. It is also in the spirit of Tovima that we take care of our lands and our water base the best way that we know how.
Hey Young, Ayuki, Hutkich. Hello, welcome to the final episode of Reclaiming Our Stories. We have spent this series moving through time. We've named what came before, told the truth of the present, and now, together, we turn toward what is yet to come. Sovereignty is tonight's topic. Sovereignty is not an abstraction. It is not merely a legal category or a moment in history. Sovereignty is a living practice. It lives in language, in land, in the hands of those who carry the culture forward, and in the choices communities make every single day. It is important to note that sovereignty is not something that was given to us by any government. Sovereignty was bestowed upon us by the Creator. And the rights that we possess as tribes are inherent to us, and were here with us since time immemorial. Tonight's conversation is rooted in joy, in continuity, and in collective responsibility. Tonight we ask, what type of future are we building? So I want to begin by asking each of our guests to introduce themselves briefly and respond to this first question. What does tribal sovereignty mean to you and your community?
Yoshnam, Darlene Franco, Nat Enyana Wukchumni, Nimno Om Tan Martha, Yannicka Wilcox Tapleris, Yonim Chucha, Beatrice Lolmont Sauset, Francisco Wilcox, Yonim Chucha No Om Tan Mini Miguel Francisco. Nata Hechi, Nata Hetewish Hechi. I'm very happy to be here today. So my name is Darlene. I'm from the Wukchumni people in Central California, which is San Joaquin Valley, also known as Amashpa'an, the basket world. And if you look at a topographical map, you'll see the San Joaquin Valley, and that's where we're from. And I introduced my mom, my grandma, my great-grandma, because that's how we recognize ourselves, matrilineal, and because they've all played important roles in who I am today and just the ability that I am to be here today, I like to trace that because it's so important. So when we talk about the sovereignty, for me, sovereignty is the ability to follow our rules, our laws, things that were handed down to us. Our creation stories tell us that we were created by the animal people and we were given instructions. Some of those instructions were to take care of each other, take care of the land and the water. And so to me, that's what sovereignty is, the ability to do this, which was taken away from us for a long time, especially like in my grandparents' age when they were no longer able to go out and hunt and to gather freely. My mom went to boarding school. She was no longer able to speak her language freely. All these things that were suppressed, but now we're bringing it back. Now we're able to speak our language. Now we're using, my children all were named in this naming ceremony by my mom. She gave them their names. They all have indigenous names. We have Lohosai, which is named after my great-grandfather, which means happiness. My daughter Yannicka was named after my mom, which is a very powerful medicinal flower. And then my youngest son, Kawanish, was named after the meteor showers. He was born the night of the meteor showers, and that was also my great-grandfather's name. So to me, that's sovereignty, bringing that back and letting our kids know that they can be who they are and they don't have to stifle it, and to be proud of who they are. So I'll leave it at that.
Thank you. Ms. Pinto.
Hauka, my name is Erica Pinto. I come from San Diego. I'm the tribal chairwoman of my tribe, the Hamul Indian Village of California. And if you look at the map, you'll see a little dot on the map, and that's our little 6-acre trust land. I've been the chairwoman there since 2015, but I've served my people on the tribal council and as a vice chair for 30 years now. So I go way back. It's something I really enjoy, the highs and the lows. My mom is Carly Chamberlain. My father is Jesse Pinto Sr. My grandfather is Tony Pinto, former chair of the Huiapai Band of Mission Indians. To me, I'm the vice president of the Southern California Tribal Chair and the current chair of the California Tribal Chair Association. To me, when I think of sovereignty, the speech that we heard in the room earlier, Sienna, I think her name was Sienna, she hit it on the head, everything that she said about sovereignty. It's not just government to government. It's not just meeting with agencies, state, local, federal agencies. It's more than that. It's beyond the courtrooms. It's a land. It's exercising our sovereignty involves land, involves our language and culture. Exercising our sovereignty means that we do have bylaws. We have full jurisdiction over not only our lands, our people. We create these lands to keep our people safe. These bylaws, these policies, but it's beyond that. And I know we have other questions that I want to answer and address those, but that's what it means to me, beyond government to government. Thank you.
Well said. Thank you. Juan.
Hauka penyamat Juan Wenechui, mat sempus wakopai, mat ipai kumiai, mat shla kumiai, napum Contreras, napum Villalobos, napum Reynoso, napum Waipok Shmok. Hi everyone, my name is Juan Reynoso. I'm from the Ipai band of Kumeyaay Indians. We're the northern relatives of Chairwoman Pinto and the south. I said hello, I'm grateful to be here. I come from the Waipok clan, we're the Mountain Kingsnake clan, as well as our contemporary clans, the Reynoso clan honoring my dad, Villalobos, the Contreras, all the way back matrilineal as well, and patrilineal. Sovereignty. So when I think about sovereignty, it's kind of a combination of what we've heard so far as the ability to govern oneself and community, to live within this understanding of spiritual, mental, physical wellness and safety, this idea of really practicing what it is to be Indigenous people in all of our ways, whether that be through policy, whether that be through a spiritual connection. So for me, when I think about sovereignty, it's really that understanding of governance within self and the community's responsibility to provide those environmental pieces for us to be able to be ourselves authentically in that will per se.
Beautiful. So I want to turn towards the future, and what are some of the things you're seeing that are maybe more recent developments in terms of exercising sovereignty? That's something that gets you excited about what you're seeing or what your tribe is actually doing.
So I forgot to say that I'm also the tribal chairperson of our tribal council, Wukchumni Tribal Council, and I am the CEO of our nonprofit. So we are not a federally recognized tribe. So in order to take care of some of the business, we formed a nonprofit so that we could receive grants and do those sort of things. So we have always been intact. We've run ceremonies, and especially like our morning ceremonies have stayed intact since forever. Some of our other ceremonies, we've had to go underground, some of our songs and dances and things, as time changed, but our morning ceremonies, we have kept that intact. And so following when the pandemic hit and our tribe was not getting any assistance. Some federal tribes were, other organizations, but just everyday life, going into the grocery store and there being no food on the shelves, no toilet paper, our life was changing. And so we as a council decided that we needed to become more food sovereign. We needed to grow our own food. We needed to take care of our families, take care of our people. And so we started farming. We started growing food, a big garden basically. But we had access to some land, so we were able to do that. That garden has turned into a farm. We run composting, recycling. We're stewarding the land, taking out invasive plants, putting in California natives, tending our medicinal plants on this piece of property. It doesn't really belong to us, but we have an agreement with the Visalia Friends, the Quaker organization. We run our ceremonies there. We grow basketry materials. We gather from the elderberry trees, the plants that grow there naturally. So this is where we're headed. We have a youth program. We recently even started a housing program. So we were able to purchase a little bit of property, and then we're actually given some property so that we can have housing. So that's where our future is going. And it really makes me feel good when I drove some of our kids by the property that we bought. It was 1.5 acres. We can no longer say we're landless because we do have land now. But when I drove the kids by there, I had 3 kids with me. I was transporting them from an event. And I said, hey, did you know this is our land? And they're like, what? That's our land? And they're like, yeah. What are we going to do with it? We're going to build some apartments and some houses. Who's going to live there? And I'm like, you are, if your families want to live there. And they were like, really? Anyway, they were just so excited. This is our future. And watching our future develop and seeing what we're creating for them, for their future, and it makes me reflect on what my mom, my grandma, my grandfathers, what they created for me so that I could be here, and so helping to create for our future generations.
Thank you. Okay, Madam Chair, what gets you excited about what maybe your tribe is doing or what you're seeing out there from other tribes? What's happening with sovereignty now that we can maybe share and get excited about?
Well, what makes me excited is land. You know, when you look at California, all of the United States, it was tribal land. It was once our land. And then specifically for California, I can look at California and know that I'm in the Tatiavan. Did I say that right? Tatiavan? Tatiavan land. And thank you for having us here. Land gets me excited, land back specifically. So for my tribe, I said, when you look at the map, you see the little dot, that's Hamul, 6 acres. What we've been able to do in exercising our sovereignty is go into a compact with the state of California and enter into gaming, our economic development. And we've since taken off in the last 10 years. We're going on our 10-year anniversary. So with revenue, we were able to purchase more land, 172 acres, which we put into trust via legislation. It's the Humboldt Indian Village Land Transfer Act that was December 23rd, 2024. And so from there, we've just been going and taking off and running. And the members are excited because we've been off of our land since 2005 for our economic development. And with those revenues, we were able to purchase that land. And then we purchased even more land right contiguous to the Humboldt Indian Village. This 172 acres is about 3/4 of a mile down. So we've been able to put that in trust. Now we're starting to develop it, and we have a plan for housing, healthcare, because sovereignty is also caring for our bodies and making sure that we can, be alive, be well to go into the future and continue these sovereign activities. But the land back is what's really exciting for me. I've seen it not only at my tribe, but I want to say 5 or 6 that I know of in the state of California that have land back. And what I would like to see, which would make me really excited, is when we get that land back, or whatever tribe, San Isabel, for example, just got thousands of acres back. I would like to see no strings attached, because that's true sovereignty.
Yes.
When we get our land back and I can look at it and pretty and I can admire it and I can pick my medicine and I can pick my acorns. No, hell no. I want the whole land back, and I don't want anybody to tell me what to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's beautiful.
But they become sources of revenue, and it's not all about that.
Right.
But with that comes other opportunities to educate your people, to build housing for your people. So many opportunities, and you mentioned the ancestors too, and I always think our people had different struggles than we had, than what I had. My mom and my grandmother and my father and their parents and then their parents didn't have electricity in the 80s. In the 80s, in our community, if you've ever been there it's a pretty wealthy neighborhood. And here sits our little land with our little HUD homes and our little trailers. Some didn't have dirt, some had dirt floors, outhouses. And when you go down there now and look at it and you see what's sitting there, that is us exercising sovereignty by being in control of this land and doing what is best for our people, which was economic development, hotel, and one thing leads to another, and another, and another. So that's what makes me really excited.
Yeah, that's wonderful. I mean, that's the true expansion of sovereignty, is expanding our land bases and our economic opportunities so we can be self-sufficient. So I really appreciate you saying that. And my grandfather, one time he said, sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. And in today's modern world, that's resources. And so we have to have those resources so we can be self-sufficient, so we can get ourselves well, so we can rely on ourselves and not have to rely on others. So I really appreciate you saying that. Thank you. Well, let's turn to Juan. What are you excited about?
Yeah, thank you for the question, and thanks for grounding us in this beautiful conversation. I think just building off what we've heard again, like what Chairwoman Pinto was saying, Sampasqual, the tribe that I'm from, we've been in gaming since the 90s. We're one of the original compact tribes as well. And I think it was the first time that we started to see what it was like to move from the dirt roads, the HUD homes, really just this idea of, and I'm going to say the word, this kind of really what we worked with what we had, this concept of scarcity that really, I think, for about 20 years really kept us in this kind of simple mindset of this is what we're only able to obtain with gaming. And what's been beautiful to see, I'm going to be 43, so in my whole lifetime, I've spent my life on the reservation, and just to see the paradigm shift, looking at people's understanding of we can have this and we can do this as well. And so we just opened up this beautiful space. I mean, it's a little bright since we have one of the gas station here, a car wash here, right? But what's been really beautiful and lovely to see is where we live in Valley Center is the community, an unincorporated space of San Diego. And the partnerships that our tribal council has been having with the city in terms of buying pieces of land, buying the golf course, buying this next to it, but really strategically placing us in a position where wherever you go, you're going to be on Sampasqual land. Where when I was a kid, we were 6 random parcels here. It was a puzzle piece. And so to be able to drive through a start point of your reservation and come out of it and be like, whoa, I'm still here on my lands. And before, I remember I walked across the street and that was the county and that was this. So that's what I'm excited is to continue to see the expansion of our minds and what's possible. And just again, to see this concept of essentially, making rattles and now having a beautiful space where people are coming. Kumeyaay Community College is a joint consortium of all of our communities and hosting spaces, right? I mean, it makes me feel inspired about the youth to come, because before I was one of those little ones, and now it's like, whoa, my nephews and nieces who are 10 and 12 and 13 can be like, I can see myself being part of this growth. And so that's what gets me excited.
I do work in my wellness court, people struggling with addiction and trauma, and to be able to send them to services that are contained on the reservation is such an advantage for those who need that help. In other places I've worked, they have to travel an hour and maybe, it's booked for months in advance. So being able to develop those spaces, be able to deliver services to our people on our own land, I think is a huge, it really makes a lot of difference for those types of things. So I really appreciate that as well. I was curious, and I'll just kind of open this up to anyone on the panel. Can you think of some untapped or underutilized areas of tribal sovereignty? Maybe some things that haven't been tried or tested or proved yet, but you like to see in the future. And I think of the Salt River tribe out in Arizona who built a baseball park on the reservation for Major League Baseball teams for the Cactus League. And I thought that was such a brilliant move, and it got me thinking about what could be possible. So is there any sort of underutilized or kind of untapped areas of our sovereignty that you could see tribes moving into in the future?
I was just thinking myself, because you said that Salton Sea tribe. We have a tribe in California, in San Diego County, that also has a major contract with the soccer league. Mm-hmm. I don't know much about sport ball, but I know there's soccer going around town here somewhere.
Soccer.
Yeah. But
World Cup.
World Cup, thank you.
The biggest thing.
So the World Series, World Cup.
That little thing, yeah.
But I know there's energy sources that are starting to be tapped into. As far as untapped, my mom's always wanted a mortuary. Mm-hmm. She wants to build a mortuary on her reservation because she says we could do it right and be more sensitive rather than cookie cutter, and that's always going to be around. She goes, everybody's always going to do that. So I won't say what she said, but she said, no, that's something that we need.
That's a great point. That is something we need. What about, do you have any ideas of untapped?
I want to make a comment before I do that. I know that I was around before casinos, and my mom passed away before a lot of the casinos have really evolved. And I know that her and the generations before her would be very proud of what a lot of our casinos are doing, and a lot of the economic development, the healthcare that's being provided, the housing that is being provided. And I know that it makes my heart happy to see that other people are able to do this, even though that's not something we have yet, but we're going and doing it a little bit differently. So what I wanted to say about things that are untapped, I think really we're starting to tap into it. Cultural burnings, taking care of the land. When I was a little girl, I would go and follow my grandma to go pick her basketry materials, just around her garden. She would talk to the plants, and I watched and I observed. I didn't ask a lot of questions. I don't remember asking, but I learned from her by watching. And I remember going through fences, we'd hold up in the fence, grandma would crawl in, I'd crawl in, and she'd go and she'd tend to all these basketry materials. And at that time, I didn't realize that we were breaking the law because we were going into private property, but it's land that she had gone for since she was little. And so even though we were breaking the white man's laws, she was following her law. And her law said she needed to go tend to these plants. She needed to take care of them. She needed to talk to them. She needed to tell them why we were going to gather them and what they were going to be used for. So I think really teaching our next generations that these are the real rules, these are the real laws, these are the things that we're supposed to be doing, and helping them to take their place. It may not be in my lifetime, it may be in the next generations, but we need to really, raise our children so that they know that this is their place and this is their responsibility. And that's where I think our future's going to be better.
Great, thank you. Juan.
No, so when the first thing came to mind was this idea of, and Chairman Pinto can speak more clearly to this piece, but I think about, as the Kumeyaay Nation, right? I mean, our tribal communities, we exist on the north side of the imperial border, the southern side of the imperial border. I mean, our people go all the way down to Valle de Guadalupe and Ensenada, to the Colorado River. I mean, our ancestral lands exceed very far. And I think about, during the first administration, the Trump administration in 2016, when they were creating that border wall. It's going through Manzanita and La Posta and Campo and all of our southern relatives, and really just going through our sacred sites. And I remember that summer was like 120 degrees, and it didn't matter which Kumeyaay tribe you were from, we were doing a call of action. And we would show up at that wall every day for the entire summer, and we would meet our relatives from the south at the wall. We couldn't see each other, and we would just pray and we would sing. And I thought to myself, we chose to show up for each other during the most harshest times. And then for me, when I think about now in this current political climate that we live in, how much sovereignty and power we exercise, not only as individual communities in our own tribal bands, but collectively as the Kumeyaay Nation. As a queer person, as a Shla person, I think about the erasure of our relatives and people who are in our stories. And how powerful would it be to have a collective union of sovereign governance of our Kumeyaay Nation saying, hey, we don't tolerate that in this space. This is how we collectively ban as a consortium and push back on these federal policies, because they love to use us and work with us when it works to their advantage. But I think how much more leverage and power can we execute when we show up for those uncomfortable conversations? So that's what I would like to see. I know there's a little bit of personal bias because I am from that community. How much political pressure are we continuing to fall into as border tribal people? So I think about just really visioning and futurizing what is possible with collective power.
Yeah, I always think about the collective power tribes could have really to achieve more solidarity, especially on those issues there's issues that we can all come together and agree on, and you see it, surrounding the Indian Child Welfare Act, around gaming, but we could really put pressure on the other governments that we deal with if we could truly unite more for the common good, and that's really something I would love to see California come together on. So speaking of kind of what was just talked about, what are some of the biggest threats that you see looming or that you're currently fighting against when it comes to tribal sovereignty? We'll start with you, Chairman.
For us, it's not being recognized by the federal government, and that puts us in a classification where other people don't recognize us. And so applying for funding, right now we're trying to apply for funding for housing, applying for other grants or opportunities, land, We've had to retell our story a few times in order to make ourselves eligible for some of these things. So constantly fighting that, and the general public, just basically thinking that California natives are all casino Indians. And, and that's not true. But really, I guess, fighting being erased. And that's, that really is, especially for us in the Central Valley. So we have to make ourselves more noticeable. And the things that we've done in the last 5 years since COVID really was, we're developing these programs. We have a building that we operate out of. We went from a building that had no air conditioning, no heating, but it was free, to now we have a nice building, and we're eventually going to be building our building on the property that we just acquired. Having programming for our children, for our elders, for our adults, and being more visible to the school districts, to the city, to different people in the area. So we're constantly fighting for recognition around with other people. We know who we are. We know where we come from. The neighboring tribes know who we are and recognize, who we are. We're basically related to everybody in the area anyway. They just have a different status than we do. But, federal recognition does not define us. It just helps us with some opportunities.
Oh, thank you. So, Chairwoman Pinto, what are some of the threats that you see on the horizon or that you're currently facing?
So the federal government has a trust and treaty obligation to all tribes. And what I see is it's slowly eroding, it's being chipped away. When we talk about funding, fully funding, for example, let me see the IHS, health clinics, because healthcare is like my top priority, and taking care of myself, being sovereign about my body, trying to make good choices so I could see these things through. But when the funding gets pulled back for certain things, be it special diabetes or cancer research or whatever IHS needs for our people, it does chip away at us. It's almost like how do you say this? It's almost like a genocide all over again by taking that money, because you can think back, and we talk about the DNA, we talk about our historical trauma that flows through our blood, we carry it. We carry the trauma of our ancestors. And so because of all of these things, you could talk about the boarding schools or, all the things that our ancestors went through and the trauma that we're carrying, the federal government has to fund us. The federal government has that obligation. When they pull back, that's a challenge to us. How are we going to get these programs out? How are we going to continue to care for our people, or the things that happen to us and the trauma that we have as tribal people that we carry? I feel like we need healing. We need to start somewhere, and I talk about the land and how healing that land is to purchase for us. That land was healing for us because we held our first gathering in March, and it was a beautiful thing. It was a beautiful thing. You talked about ICWA. That ICWA I think it's being challenged again, or it's looming. And, our kids need to be in our American Indian households. They can't go anywhere else, but it's happened. They fall through the cracks. So, we could talk about gaming again too, because some of these, what's it called? Sports betting is coming down the line. And are we going to continue to have exclusivity? I don't know. I kind of fear that we may not. So we have to start doing other things like diversification, gas stations, health centers, educating our people, having the opportunity for them to be educated and to come back and help the tribes out. So when I look and see the news, it feels like, oh my gosh, this is going to be an attack on our sovereignty, or this is going to be an attack on, and with this administration, I fear that, are we going to be eradicated? Are we going to be, reservations going to be taken out of trust? Are we going to just get to a point where, they're going to think that we don't exist anymore? Mm-hmm. So to her point, yes, it's a constant, continuous education. And it's truth-telling. It's telling the truth of what happened and what is the history of our tribal nations. I just watched something called the People of the West series. But that, when you watch that, it's not romanticized, it's not sugar-coated. There was some people in there talking about, it's our people, talking about the shit that we went through, the trauma, all that stuff is in there if you watch it. And I think it's like a 10-part series, but I saw the first couple of them at Verona. It's a continuous education of people knowing the true history. And that's how you're going to work with people if they run for office or they're the president of the United States. You have to make them understand that this is a responsibility that they have to each of these nations in the United States, and they have to abide by it. And I feel like slowly but surely they're pulling back, and that's scary.
Yeah. It's interesting. It's, Chairman, when you said the threat of being erased, it's very unique to tribes that we have sort of this pressure and stress that's constant and of just existing, as a people. And, I don't think not that many other groups in this country have that. We live with that every day, this pressure of someone is actively trying to erase us. It's very stressful. So Juan, what do you see as some threats out there?
No, this is pretty, but it's like a layup. Set me up for a bit thinker. So I'm gonna kind of bring us a little bit into more of like a centralized. I'm gonna bring you into San Pasqual because I think that's just I want to speak from the position of my own community, and I don't speak for San Pasqual. I speak from Juan, who is from San Pasqual, and my experiences. But I think about this idea, and then Sherman, because we have like this, this. We see the tension, the federal government, we see the grants, and I also, short plug here, co-founded a nonprofit called the Queer Soul Collective with my dear friend Giovanni Perez. And in the same token, we're having to create these spaces because we see this writing on the wall of where's the funding, where's the resource, where's the need? And that initiative to create something outside of my own tribal community was because we didn't have that access in our own tribal community. And so it was like, okay, well, how do we start to diversify and look at those types of spaces where we can meet up with local other community members who are looking at the same thing, right? Where's the access? Looking at it through accessibility is not just about being physically able to access spaces, right? It's our minds, it's our bodies, it's our language, it's everything. And so this idea of, okay, now we're shifting, I talked earlier about shifting from gaming into other spaces. We're putting up a small clinic, which is amazing. And I don't quite know who will be responsible for it, but it's on our land. And to speak to that is like, wow, like, okay, we're not having to rely on Indian Health Council. We're not having to rely on Southern Indian Health Coalition. Like, it's this idea of like, you can take care of your people. It's the re-education of like, looking at all of these fundings, these sources, and then thinking about, again, this idea of scarcity of like, okay, where there's like 3,000 of us, 4,000 people, right? Descendants, all tribal people living on these lands, but like 120 voting members. So literally like 120 tribal members who vote for us, and we're all just kind of looking for a space to find home, right? This idea of, okay, we're going to go out and get this education, we're going to go do all these things, but when we come home, where do we find ourselves? Where are those resources? And when, like those practices of when I was a young kid, go get an education, hon, go do that, go do this thing and come back and don't forget us. Well, we're there. We're at the door knocking, we're ready, we've been ready. And it's like, it's this idea of this legacy, this mentorship, letting people step into those leadership spaces. And for me, when I think about the sovereignty component, the kind of the problems and the things and the challenges is really this idea of where is the opportunity. And really like this idea of now we need to be more strategic than ever right now and really partner with other tribal communities that are experiencing the same thing, right? There's enough for everyone. And especially when we think about federal recognition, non-federally recognized tribes, this idea of like, if we just got together and we just said, hey, what is it you need? We're no longer vetting for resources, but as family, right? We're family, we're kin, we're relatives. Let's take care of each other. So for me, when I think about that, that's really is the challenges is like, how do we take care of our people in our backyard, but also know and extend as good relatives? That's the backyard here and so forth, right? It's the continued ecosystem beyond what I live in. So that's what I see.
Thank you. So this is maybe a second part of that question. What are some ways that those who are involved in local, state, and federal governments, what are some ways that those people could help preserve and enhance tribal sovereignty? And start with you, Chairwoman.
Okay. Well, there's a lot that could be done, I guess. And for us is to be at the table when programs are being developed, or for us to be able to have a seat. And we don't always get a seat at the table because we're not federally recognized, but to be listened to and to, I guess, have an equal stand as other people, because a lot of non-federally recognized tribes, these beautiful women sitting up here singing their songs and their language, that's sovereignty. And that is our culture. That is who we are. And so the same thing with our people and the things that we're struggling with, the things that we are also advanced at. We try to share with people. And so I think having a seat at the table to be able to talk about what our needs are, and also how can we help other people. Because our whole farm is set up, our nonprofit is set up, and I often encourage other non-federally recognized tribes to follow in our footsteps. We can do it, you can do it too. And so I think you were talking about the land back movement. These programs are developed to conserve land, which is awesome. That's great. People are getting land back, and we've applied for some too. But the land that's coming back has all these stipulations on it. You can't do this, you can't do that. And yes, you need to conserve the land, but we're going to run cattle on it. And, things that are just destroying the ecosystem. And so it's whoever planned it probably needed some more Native people there to help them plan that. Yeah,
good point. So, Chairwoman, what if you could speak, directly to those in the government, the governor, the representatives in Congress, what would you like to see from them?
I would like to see more education, which I believe I am seeing. I'll start locally first for San Diego County. We have a better relationship with the San Diego Board of Supervisors. We didn't used to have a really good relationship because they opposed every land into trust application automatically. Several of us got together in San Diego County, and we helped reverse for the county to reverse that decision, so they don't oppose any land into trust. Matter of fact, they sent us a letter of support for us for our land that we purchased. Statewide, the same thing. I see a lot of tribal liaisons in different agencies, which is really helpful because they can bring our perspective, because we're not always at the table either. So that's very helpful. And on a federal level, I serve on the Secretary's Tribal Advisory Committee for Department of Interior and Department of Health and Human Services. And I feel like we constantly have to educate. And I tell my nieces and nephews, it's going to be your job, unfortunately, that when you get older, you're going to have to continue to do the same thing. Because we just read some report, it was an IHS report from back in the day, same thing going on. It's the same stuff going on. So it's going to take us, a lot of the tribal nations, a lot of people to educate state, local, even some tribal people, to make sure that, we come together, work together, because like Juan said, we're stronger together. I think that was even one of the themes for the California Tribal Indian Day. But coming together, whether it's talking about, a border patrol, the agency of the Border Patrol in San Diego County, where they're desecrating Mount Wukchumni right now. And we did meet with the tribal leaders across the border because they are Kumeyaay people. They're our relatives, and we met with them, and we're going to strategize on that. I've even talked with the chairman of the TO, Tohono O'odham, and I've invited him to the Kumeyaay Summit that we're having in July to see how we can strengthen our, with other tribal chairs along the border, the Kokopah people, because it's, what they're doing is wrong. I know what they're trying to do. They want it's for safety. We need immigrants, whatever they're saying, but they're destroying us and trying to erase us in the meantime. And that's wrong, because we need to educate these people. We need to have these relationships with them. We need to be at the table with these people so they can understand, because right now they don't.
Yeah, so you almost have to be an educator, as a Native person, just to get work done.
And I forgot to say, I have 85 tribal members. And we lost one in COVID, and that was one too many. So we have to do our best for the 85 people that we have enrolled to make sure that our health is good. And so that's why healthcare is really important to me.
Absolutely. So, Juan, if you had the room full of government officials here, what would you like them to
Throw the book at them.
Yeah. What would you?
No, I mean,
What do you need from them? What do we need?
There's not much more that I could say to expand a little bit more than what's been beautifully said already. But I think about just really representation. I mean, I think about, who do we have? We have Assemblymember Ramos. Like how many is there really out there, right? And as young. I'm always thinking about future generations, like this, my nephews and nieces, where is their place to kind of take up that stewardship and that leadership and to really get involved civically and to be civically engaged. So I think about what is, if I had an opportunity to say, hey, what are those mentor-mentee pathways that you could create at a local level, state level, right? To get people empowered and inspired to work in legislative spaces. For me, my vision as a young person was to be tribal chairman, and I'm getting a little older and I don't know if that's going to come, and maybe it'll be in a different way. Maybe it's a different form of leadership. But I also don't want that to be the same experience for people. I want people to understand that there is opportunity, and maybe it's not serving specifically your own tribal community, but it's the extension, it's the larger ecosystem. So for me, I think if there was just one thing to say is hey, we want to be at the table, like you said so beautifully, and not as an after fact. I think oftentimes we're asked to, we'll get these random calls, whether it's a grant, whether it's, a proposal, and people are calling you and, hey, when is it due? It's due next week. Do you have this person, this cultural person, this traditional, and they want us to just jump right up and we're giving you opportunity. And it's we should have been at the beginning of this visioning and this dreaming together, right? So in the same token with legislation and state just initiatives, I think we need to be at the forefront of that, not an afterthought.
Absolutely. Well said. Okay, now we'd like to open up this space to you, our community, because you're not just observers tonight, you are participants. So if you'd like to ask a question, please raise your hand and we will bring you a mic. We have time for a few questions. We'll start with Samantha. How are you doing, Samantha?
As Native professionals who are in certain spaces, I work for the CSU system, we're often asked to come in and kind of provide that Native perspective. And my question is, how do you provide that perspective without kind of becoming tokenized? And also, how do you provide that perspective that's maybe unique to you without the idea that we're speaking on behalf of all Native people or all tribe, anything along those lines?
Good question. Chairwoman?
Educator?
Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a great question. And again, I'm going to kind of answer in a way that I think I answered the previous one where I said, I'm going to speak from my positionality. And I think that's anything that we do as Native people, we have to just position ourselves, first of all, in our bodies and our spirits and what's coming through for us. And then, hopefully with that embodiment, there is a responsibility. We're in these spaces because we do care about our community. In academia, this tokenism is often, we see it all the time. People want to get on a publication with you. They want you to just maybe come co-lecture, and then, they look great, in the seminar or whatnot. I think we need to be not afraid to call it what it is. So when we're getting those kind of calls to, hey, do you mind doing this training? Do you mind doing that? Ask, what is the intention behind this? How long has this been in action? How long have you been planning to do this? And well, maybe I'll do this time. I really cannot continue to do this unless there's kind of an overhaul or an understanding of what it looks like from my perspective. So I think it's really just really being poignant and really being just front facing with how you feel about it. And then again, speak from yourself, from your position. I speak from me representing this position here, right? I think for me, there's never a moment where I don't feel tokenized. That's something I think maybe I'm going to have to forever internally work through as I get older, is understand to let go of that. But yeah, I think that's just really what it is. Speak from your heart and speak from your own positionality.
Great answer. Thank you. So I saw some other hands up in the back, the very back.
Thank you so much for this opportunity and to hear all these great voices. I'm wondering whether you come from a gaming tribe. What is your philosophy of your tribal sovereignty in terms of how it intersects with Western capitalism, the scarcity mindset of capitalism versus the collective mindset of being indigenous? As we look to improve the livelihood and the stature of our communities, it can be tempting to just replicate what the white man's systems are. But imperialism is still imperialism, no matter what color the face is that represents it. So again, to put it more simply, what is your tribal sovereignty philosophy when it intersects and hopefully transcends Western capitalism?
Powerful question. Thank you. Chairwoman?
Yeah, that's we are a gaming tribe. And what we do different, I believe, is we have over 1,000 employees now. We treat our employees well. With the revenue, we're going to build a cultural center. We don't have a place to house when we do cultural monitoring or when we repatriate. We don't have a place right now to house them, so they stay at certain places or they go to another tribe, or sometimes they're buried if they're funerary objects. But we need a place to house those, and we purchase land. And I don't know if I'm really answering your question, but this is how we're exercising our sovereignty without acting or, being a typical capitalist person. But we're very intentional. I love that word, with our resources. It's not a lot of resources, but we're very intentional with what we do. We take stuff across the border during Christmas and through other tribes in San Diego County that are non-gaming. So I don't know if I see that a lot, but before gaming, as I mentioned earlier, we had our HUD homes. We had nothing. We struggled. We had challenges. We didn't have opportunities. And exercising that sovereignty to do and vote as a collective tribe of what we wanted to do with our land, and that's how we ended up for about 30 years. A lot of the people didn't want change, and we respected that. They didn't want change. It was scary. And gaming began, 40 years ago, and we just got into it 10 years ago. And we've seen good and bad, and so we've taken it all in. So we've been educated over these years, and so we are very intentional with funds, with resources, and putting kids through school, buying back a lot of San Diego, just treating our people well. That's important to me, because our team members that come on our reservation, they come and they do a job for the tribe, and they generate revenue for this tribe. I operate something called Acorns to Oaks. It's for our youth, and we do, events. We'll make gourds. We'll have gourd class. We'll make skirts, shirts, language. We have a handful of language speakers, and we'll have elder panels. And the people, even the outside reservations will come in and listen to our elders, because I think it's important for our people, our young people especially, to hear what their ancestors went through. Because sometimes, I think it's important that they know. Because if they don't know that, then I don't know. I don't think that's a good thing. But the culture's coming back. The language is being revitalized. I know they started language classes. My uncle did. My great uncle started language classes with younger, like toddler kids, teaching them colors and numbers. And so we've been very intentional with our funding, so as not to be an Amazon or someone who's going to trash the land. So that's how, because we care for the land. So that's how we have done it. And I hope I've answered your question.
Do we have time for another question? Okay. I saw a hand up there. Christine?
Wokla. Ayukwi. I'm from the Yurok tribe, and the question that I'm sort of thinking about is, what responsibilities do we carry to the future, and how are our choices today shaping our worlds to come?
I'm always telling our young people, and it's important that we all tell our young people that we are survivors, that we are here because our ancestors fought for us, and they survived this genocide. And so we are the strongest of the strong, and we're still here. And then I encourage our youth and reminding them that we were all given gifts from the Creator. Some may be talkers, politicians, lawyers. Some may be, gifted with arts, with music. Everybody has a gift. And I'm always encouraging our young people to find out what your gifts are and utilize them to make this world a better place and make our ancestors proud that we are survivors.
Oh. One of my favorite quotes is, "Your talents are your gifts from the Creator, and what you do with those talents is your gift to the Creator." So we have some more music here, but before we do that, I just want to ask one question, kind of looking towards the future, but also the present. And I keep hearing this intentionality being so important, and I 100% agree. So as someone who had to feel like I had to pay my dues and wait to become in the position that I ultimately am now, what are each of you doing to bring about new leaders, to prepare your successors? What are you intentionally doing, or what should we be intentionally doing to ensure that our successors are equipped to exercise and grow our sovereignty of our tribes?
For us, it's creating opportunities for our young people to take over. What I'm doing right now, what my sisters have done and my brother has done, what my mom and other people have done, creating opportunities so our young people can take over. Right now, all three of my children work for our tribe and doing different things, whether it be cultural management, whether it be farm management, whether it be land acquisition. They are all working for the tribe. We have a lot of younger people working for our tribe too, and it's giving them the opportunity. Even though they may not have the skills right now, teaching them how to do this. And I'm still learning. I wish I would have done this 40 years ago. I had the courage to leave my job and to create what we've got today. So right now, setting the opportunities so that they can carry it on and beyond what we're actually dreaming right now.
Chairwoman?
I think it would be making sure that they know who they are, where they come from. They're resilient, because we have survived here. We have survived when we were not meant to live. We were meant to be erased. So they need to know where they come from, who they are, get educated. They have the opportunity. Know the truth of our people. Because when they know who they are, where they came from, how they survived through all of this, they'll realize that they are resilient. And so we do the things that we do for the future. It's for the future. And so they know that. I have 10 nieces and nephews. And they know that we're building, diversifying. And I said, one day you guys are going to have to take over. And they said, well, we'll run next election. I said, no, not next election. I said, one day you'll have to take over, but this is going to be all yours. It was like Lion King. I said, everything the sun touches is yours, and you're going to have to be responsible for it. So prepare yourself. I have some education, but not like these kids now. They're going 4 years to college. I can't sit still long enough to do that. But I told them that they got to get ready for all these things. We're going to have a clinic. Become a doctor. Run your clinic. Become a general manager. Learn food sovereignty. Learn how to grow. One of my nieces is really about growing things. And so as long as they can run each of these departments, they're going to do good. They're going to do well.
Excellent. So Juan, what is your tribe, or what are you doing? I know you work in education to create leaders.
Yeah, it's a great question. And again, it's probably going to be just an expansion of what we've already heard. So I'm going to speak from the nonprofit work, just because I feel like that's really where youth leadership and mentorship is occurring within my community, specifically the Queer Soul Collective. So with this idea of this transmission of knowledge, right, this intergenerational communication, elders and youth coming together in one safe space where, at our nonprofit, what we do is we do a lot of arts and cultural engagement. We have these pop-ups in San Diego County where we call this event called Something Beautiful. And it's like something beautiful is happening at Balboa Park. Something beautiful is happening at Ocean Beach, right? And so the idea is to bring all walks of life to come into these spaces that they really don't know what it is. They just think it's like an arts festival, or there's going to be traditional stories and music and food. And when they get there, the community, it's open to anyone, realizes that, whoa, everyone in this space is a queer identifying leader. Everyone in this space is 12 years old all the way to 80 years old, right? It's a bunch of people coming together in this understanding that the community is going to learn from our community in a safe space where we're not these big bad things, right? And so for us, when I think about empowering youth, is really just kind of getting out of the way, like for them, like, you know, within guidance and mentorship, like, hey, this is what you have for you. How can I get out of it? What do you need from me, right? We had this beautiful walk. It's called Walk with Yamai, and that's at Wukchumni word. We have these art walks, and we were asked to curate something with these beautiful Wukchumni relatives, these sisters. And my nephew, who's 16, was able to show his graffiti art at this Leo Carrillo historical ranch house, which is problematic. And my nephew Hezekiah, you know, he's a graffiti artist. His voice is supposed to be hidden and silent, and he's scared to do that, right? Because, you know, there's punitive things. You go to jail. It's this kind of this cultural idea of him being a person from the streets, right? And he was able to really showcase his art in a space where community was like, what is this all about? And really to see the depth of his story and his vision about how this was him being on the reservation, growing up in the urban landscape as well, being mixed identity, mixed race, like all of these things. And so I'm kind of going on a little digression here, but the idea behind it is just to empower and give the platform to our youth. It's like, get out of the way, right? Just what do you need from me? And let's make that happen.
Appreciate that. Thank you. Let's hear it for our panelists, everybody. Great discussion. I really appreciate all your thoughtful responses and for you all to take the time to be here and be part of this wonderful opportunity that the California Humanities has created, you know, for our voices. And I feel like we accomplished that we really did, you know, reclaim our own stories, and it feels really good. So thank you everyone who's helped us make this possible, and it's just been a true honor to be part of this with you all. Thank you. Okay, we have another musical performance. The Chumash Cultural Collective is going to regale us with some songs here. The Chumash are the stewards of the coastline, the mountain, and the sky. Their songs have crossed centuries. We welcome now the Chumash Cultural Collective.
So we were talking a lot about resilience, and they kept saying we're still here. So we got a song for you. We're still here. Howo kileken hiiti. That's how we said in Chumash. Hey ya, hey ya, ha, hey ya, hey. 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 Howo kileken hiiti. Howo kileken hiiti. Howo kileken hiiti. Howo kileken hiiti. Hey ya, hey ya, ha, hey ya, hey. 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 Howo kileken hiiti. Howo kileken hiiti. Howo kileken hiiti. Howo kileken hiiti. All right. We're still here. I love that.
Okay, unfortunately, we are near the end of our time here together tonight. But before we close, we want to hold one more question together. This is the question that has lived underneath everything we've said, every story we've carried, every future we've imagined tonight. What responsibilities do we carry to the future, and how are our choices today shaping worlds yet to come? So we invite you to stop, reflect, and leave your voice. And we want you to become part of this. We want everyone to be involved so that hopefully this can become a movement. Again, I want to thank our guests and all of you for your presence. Thank you to the singers, to our ancestors, our elders, and our community, and every person in this room. This is not an ending. This is an offering, a seed placed in the ground to bring about what comes next. So as we close together, all 4 tribal singer groups will join now in a shared song honoring this land, its continuity, and our collective presence here tonight. So if we can welcome back all of our singers who are still here, we're going to sing the Willow Song. It's a shared offering of all the Los Angeles area tribes, and we invite you all to sing along too.
You are now the California Humanities Choir. You can stand if you want. This is going to be really easy. All of you in the audience, this is the part you want to know. You're going to sing the chorus with us. It's like an echo. You'll hear it repeat. Your part's really easy. This will be your lyrics. Say this after me. Shalu. Okay? Shalu. Say it again. Shalu. Now sing it. Shalu. Perfect. The second part is Hoya. Okay, say that. Hoya. Hoya. Now sing it. Hoya. Shalu. Shalu. Hoya. Hoya. Oh, wonderful. Boy. Wonderful, wonderful. All right, that's all you need to know. And this is the Willow Song, because you know what? We as Native people, the willow was something, a growing thing that was so important to the Native people. When you saw the willow, you knew there was fresh water. And we Native people were like the willow. We like the water. You know, we also use the willow for clothing, medicine, housing. And, you know, we're like the willow because we bend, but we don't break, but we'll snap back and give you a little sting. So, okay? And so you are joining us in the Willow Song, introducing the California Humanities Choir, all right? Hone he ya, hone, hone he ya, hone, hone he ya, hone, hone, shalu, hoya, shalu, hoya, hone he ya.
All right, thank you. Thank you everyone again. It's been a wonderful evening. So we close as we opened, in gratitude. If tonight moved something in you, we invite you to carry it forward. Reclaiming Our Stories is available now wherever you listen to podcasts. 6 episodes, many voices, one invitation to listen differently. We invite you to listen more than once. In many traditions, learning lives in repetition. Each return to a story reveals something new. We ask that you share this series with those you know will appreciate the content and will learn from these stories, and will pass them along to others with the same interest, curiosity, and respect as they were intended. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night. Blessings.
Shanu, oh ya, Shanu, oh ya, hone ya ya, hone, hone ya ya, hone, hone ya ya, hone, hone, oh ya. All right, debut of the California Humanities Choir.
You've been listening to Reclaiming Our Stories, Voices of Indigenous Peoples of California, created by California Humanities, a nonprofit partner of the National Endowment for the Humanities. To learn more about this podcast and the work of California Humanities, visit calhum.org. Until next time, keep listening, because every story connects us to land, community, and to one another.
Reclaiming Our Stories podcast is made possible with support from the 11th Hour Project, the Weingart Foundation, and By the People Conversations Beyond 250, a nationwide initiative led by the Federation of State Humanities Councils in partnership with the Smithsonian Center for Folklife and Cultural Heritage. We also thank the Autry Museum of the American West for partnering with us in hosting our live podcast event. Together, these partners help make it possible to share stories that deepen understanding of the many cultures and histories that shape California.